Hi and welcome to my channel. My name's Rachel. I'll be presenting to you 5 fundamental steps to what I call the process and shift. So processing our emotions and shifting back into a space of alignment with our highest, truest, most powerful selves. So number 1 is to stop resisting how we feel. So when we're feeling negative emotions, naturally it's uncomfortable and we don't want to feel it. And so we end up resisting it in a multitude of ways, whether that's through self-criticism, over-analysis, problem solving, or ruminating. So when we're chasing thought after thought after thought, trying to kind of think ourselves out of our emotions. Maybe we busy ourselves with endless tasks, or perhaps we are just distracting ourselves with either social media or junk food or whatever it is to just try and escape from the feeling. Another thing that we can sometimes do is to kind of jump over from the negative state of thinking and feeling into an overly positive one without actually allowing ourselves to feel that negativity. For example, you might be feeling anxious about an upcoming event, and you're finding yourself thinking about it and just feeling more anxious, and then suddenly you're like, nope, stop, I'm fine, it's going to be fine, I'm just going to do it, I'm going to do as best a job as I can, and it's all going to be great. So that's can be seen as like a positive, you're kind of taking control of your thoughts. But if you don't allow yourself to fully feel the feelings of anxiety, they're actually just going to stay in your body. So ignoring our emotions keeps them locked inside our body. They don't get a chance to be expressed and released, and therefore they're just kind of sitting there dormant, waiting to kind of be reactivated again. So we're not really getting rid of them, we're just kind of like pushing them deeper inside of us by ignoring it. So that's number 1, stop resisting how you feel. Accept how you feel right now. Now, number 2 can help with number 1, and that is to label it. Label how you feel. So labeling our emotions, for example, this is anxiety, or part of me feels ashamed about this situation, or I'm experiencing feelings of insecurity. Labeling is really helpful because it reduces the emotional charge around our emotions, and it helps us to become less identified with them. We kind of create space between us and our emotions. So we have this sort of healthier distance where we're letting the emotion be here and exist without kind of being identified with this emotion. So that non-identification also helps us to bring acceptance to the emotion. If we realize, like, I am not the anxiety, I am not the shame, I am not the insecurity, this is an element of my experience. So labeling helps us to create that distance, and then we can just allow it to be here. Number 3 is to observe the feeling, observe the emotion. So what we want to do is focus on the experience, the present moment experience of the emotion, rather than the thoughts about the emotion. So often we're feeling fear and we're thinking about what the fear means. So maybe we're feeling fear about public speaking or having a certain meeting or going to see someone. And instead of allowing that fear to just exist, it's a normal human emotion, we have thoughts about it. So, maybe we're panicking and thinking, how am I going to do this thing? How can I get rid of this fear? Through thinking. And again, we're not allowing that emotion to just be. So it kind of just sits there. So we want to let go of the thoughts, let go of the narrative around the emotion, and just experience it. So we're just observing in silence. So where do I feel this shame or this anxiety or this insecurity, this sadness, whatever it is? Where do I feel it in my body? So is it in my stomach? Is it in a tightness in my upper back or shoulders? Is it a sort of tightness in my chest? So just observing the feeling and just sitting with it, observing that the sort of moment to moment changes in that feeling, because often when we are feeling a certain emotion like fear, for example, it just feels like this sort of one block of feeling, this never changing thing, this very solid thing. But when we pay attention to where it is and how it's showing up, we notice that actually with time the feeling actually changes, and the more kind of loving awareness and attention that we bring to the feeling, the more we see that actually there's kind of this sort of peak and trough, and often over time, the more we pay attention to it, the more the feeling actually dissolves, and with it, all the thoughts and stories that we have around it start to kind of calm down. So that brings us to number 4, and that is to show compassion for yourself. So notice any self-judgment, any self-criticism that's maybe wrapped up around this emotion that you're experiencing, and let go of it, release it. So remember, we want to observe without any kind of stories, without words, just feeling it. And so part of that is letting go of any stories around it. And so often we have this kind of like this sort of voice in our head saying these negative things as we are experiencing an emotion, like, oh, why aren't you better at this? Or you're incapable of X, Y, and Z, or whatever it is. But just noticing those kind of voices that aren't supportive and releasing them. And remind yourself that actually you are on your own side. Like, you are here for you. You are not your enemy. And that no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what's challenging, no matter your mistakes and your, assumed downfalls, you are on your own side. So just almost imagining yourself next to yourself, holding yourself in solidarity with yourself. Because that can be an incredibly empowering thing to know in your most difficult moments, that you have you no matter what. So reminding ourselves that we are on our own side, and that this experience, this emotion, is just a normal part of the shared human experience. It's not that you are uniquely hopeless or bad or unsafe or anything like that. It's just reminding yourself this is normal, and I'm here. I'm here by your side. So I'll end now with number 5, which is perspective. So remembering that this emotion, this situation, whatever it is for you that's happening right now, remembering that it isn't going to last forever. So when we are struggling with something, it almost can feel like this is my life, and like this is how my life is always going to be forevermore. It can feel like we're just stuck in this long, dark night sometimes, and the truth is that things are constantly evolving and changing and moving. Life is about movement and growth, and as long as we stay conscious and open, our life is never going to stay exactly the same way. The situation that we're in is not going to stay the same, or the emotions that we're experiencing or the thoughts that we're having aren't going to be the same, so long as we stay engaged and aware and willing to kind of be there for ourselves. So remembering that every night turns into day. So just allowing that to kind of keep, even in your darkest moment, just keep that kind of flame on that says, this is hard. So acknowledging it is hard, but this is not going to last forever. Every night turns into day. And another thing to remember is that even if you cannot see any evidence of it in your external world right now, there is a truth that I want to relay to you, and that is that life loves you. Life is on your side. It's not that life is happening to us, and I know it feels like that sometimes, but life loves you. Life wants to support you, and even just looking at the fact that you're living right now, life has supported you up until now, and it will continue to do so. We can't see the plan, the bigger plan, and sometimes it really does feel like, well, why is everything just going wrong? But the truth is that life loves you and it's supporting you, and the more we feel into this, the more we see it. No matter how bad things may feel in the moment, Remember that night will always turn into day. That is a universal truth that we've all lived. Alright, so I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you've got any comments, anything that you've tried and how you felt, or any questions at all, let me know. Please subscribe to my channel if this is the type of content that you enjoy and you find of value, and I hopefully will see you in the next video.